Level up tak? You guys pernah pergi level up? My Digital Makers pernah? So these are, pernah kan? So these two events was organized by MDAC, Perbadanan Kemajuan Digital Economy. Betul tak? Betul kan? Malaysian Development Economy Digital. Okay, ni you mana ni? This is your uni.
To those of you who have come in search of answers, seeking inspiration, and looking to achieve your aspiration, this is the place where you will learn to find the answers, where you will be motivated to discover your inspiration, where you will be propelled to realize your aspirations. With today's global challenges, the role of the engineer, the scientist, and the technologist is transformed from being the technical innovator into being the agent of global change. Our world-class resources and faculties, our cutting-edge facilities, our global partnerships with leading universities, our strong network with industry for internships and job placements, our worldwide research collaboration. These are the inspirations and the opportunities at UTP. Here, we nurture the analytical skills and intellectual capabilities of all who walk the UTP path. Here we culture the ethics and the attitudes that will shine in the real world. Here we expose ourselves to what it truly means to be human, to be a valuable part of society, to be the empowered people, the game changers, who will light up the path towards a better world and change lives for the better. At UTP, the torch is firmly in your hands. So hold it up high and let us together light it and let it burn brightly. Join us to seek inspiration and achieve your aspiration towards global prominence.
Siaran secara langsung dari Chancellor Hall Univeristi Teknologi PETRONAS untuk XPAXKEK kejohanan e-sukan kampus XPAXKEK 2019 semester 1 Zon Utara. Berikan tepukan kepada Univeristi Teknologi PETRONAS UTP dan penaja utama kita XPAX. Okay, sebentar tadi kita dah banyak perkongsian pendidikan mengenai e-sukan yang telah kita paparkan dan kongsikan bersama penonton di rumah dan juga di auditorium ini, di dewan ini. Dan kepada penonton di rumah, jangan lupa anda juga berpeluang memenangi hadiah harian daripada XPAX berupa RM50 reload voucher. Hanya like Facebook page XPAX, kemudian share live stream ini dan answer one simple questions to stand a chance to win RM50 reload voucher by XPAX. Okay, again, XPAXKEK merupakan first ever tournament di mana kita ingin mencari wakil from Juni yang akan compete in 3 different games: Mobile Legends, Bang Bang, Dota 2 dan juga Pro Evolution Soccer PES 2019. Dan Zon Utara akan menampilkan pasukan dari negeri Perlis, Pulau Pinang, Kedah dan Perak sendiri untuk bertanding merebut tempat ke kejuaraan final yang akan berlangsung di Kuala Lumpur penghujung April nanti. Dan again, untuk penonton di rumah, sila like Facebook page XPAX and My Game On, share this live stream and you will stand a chance to win RM50 reload voucher right after the event ends. And then, okay, without further ado, kita nak perkenalkan our next speaker, which is, I think among the states in Malaysia, Perak has been aggressively, in terms of the effort to champion esports. Even they have a special event last week in Meru that gathered the esports players from all over Malaysia to talk about the importance of this industry and the impact of the industry towards youngsters, especially the university students. So to know more about the Perak's government's plan on how do they want to grow the esports scene here in Perak, I would like to invite our next speaker for today, Mr. Benny Teh, Perak Sports Councillor. Okay, Benny, yeah, you got yourself a fan over there, group of fans over there. So the stage is yours. But I have one simple question, like one easy question. That, are you a gamer yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I play game since I was, what, 8, 9? Yeah.
What is like the memory, I mean, like maybe the classic game that you've missed playing
games,
it? Yeah.
Raiden in the arcade. No, because when I was 9 years old, my parents loved to go to the arcade. So they brought me in, we played Raiden together. That's how I first started gaming.
All right.
Yeah.
I also remember one of the most classic games was like Contra, you know?
Yeah,
but now they have a new version of Contra, right? So
yeah.
awesome. Okay, the stage is yours, Benny, and the crowd is yours as well. Enjoy the talk.
Hi guys, good evening. I'm actually quite nervous right now. Being a gamer, we face computer more than we face people. So that is why, sometimes I may not be good in public speaking, but, I try to learn every now and then. So I'm actually here to talk about what has the Perak State government has in plan in terms of developing esports, right? So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about myself. I actually started playing games as you know, I started playing games when I was 8. It was brought by my parents, all right? And things got competitive really fast. 15 years ago, I played a lot of fighting games. So I tried to run competitive, but man, I couldn't perform. I can't even, win any championship at all. So, I spent 2 years trying to play competitively, couldn't win any championship. Although once I win, number 4 in World Cyber Games 2011, and that's because there's only 6 participants in that tournament. So even so, I couldn't even get champion. How bad it is, right? So I thought maybe I should just stop, playing so competitively and maybe just give up on whatever I'm doing for esports by that time. But I thought to myself, if I can't get famous by playing games, right, I might as well get famous by organizing tournaments. So that's how I branch out more than just by playing games, to get famous. That was the intention back then. I want to get famous, right? So at 24 years old, yes, I became tournament organizers. It was sort of hobby. It was non-profit. I'm doing for fun. But most of the time, I got, complaint most of the time. And it went on to actually last year that finally I managed to secure a meeting with one of the YBs, right, YB Howard Lee. So I kind of thought about how are we going to develop esports in that case, and that's how I ended up serving as a pro-term councillor in Perak Esports Council. So in Perak State, we've always been talking about how are we going to expand esports more than just by playing games. That's always been our story, right? So it's not just about playing games. Scratch the surface, we can talk about how we're going to become streamer, caster. Those are things that easily accessible that we think we can do, and those are things that we know. But other than that, what are the things that we can actually do? And that is also exactly the reason why we held EPIC last week. It stands for Esports Professional Industry Conference, where we included healthcare, we included, how branding marketing agency works in that case. And this has always been our foundation in every work that we've been doing in Perak Esports Council. It's always about economy, it's always about ecosystem, and it's always about development, right? So what we have in plan is that how are we going to set the benchmark for the esports industry? If you take a look at the esports industry or esports economy right now, what are the benchmarks do we have, right? So we also need to build the database. PR strategies, how to educate public on esports. What are the things that we can do in esports? Because most of the time we see parents, when I say I want to go into esports, all they could ever think of is that I spend hours and hours just by playing games. But that's not entirely true. There's so much more we can do in the esports. And of course, laws and regulations, I think this morning Richard was here talking about it. And of course, Perak Cyber Games. That will appeal more to the gamers who wanted to represent Perak in that case. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. So setting the benchmark, building the database. What do we mean when we say we want to set the benchmark? And for organizers, players, differentiating between amateur and professionals. But here's the question. How do you differentiate an amateur player and a professional player? We don't really have a benchmark, isn't it? Or are we going to call ourselves professional just because I made some jerseys and call ourselves professional? Well, they might not be entirely true. So we need to have that kind of benchmark to set it. So on second thing, esports facilities. Do we have facilities in Perak that's able to accommodate international teams, international organizations to actually come in, right? And third, we'll be building talent pool and manpower. And this is a very important one because in the esports economy, we wanted to attract more foreign investment to come in. We want to attract more international teams to come in. We want to attract more organizations to come in to actually have their business here, right? But we can't be saying that to all the other international, businesses without having a proper manpower or talent pool in Perak itself. So for organizers and players, this is one of the things that we have been pushing through really hard. We need to have a created database of players, setting parameters to differentiate what is amateurs and what is professionals. And this is the thing that we can't do it by ourselves. We also need help from all the other stakeholders, and even as students in this case. But just a quick check, anyone here is doing IT here? Computer science? All right? Oh, cool. By getting this, database, we can actually help to set the parameters. How much tournament you need to win to become professionals? How much time you need to spend? Or what are the things that you have to go through to become professionals? These are the benchmark we have to set. Because if you take it to a corporate level, for sponsors to come in, who am I sponsoring really? Am I sponsoring amateur or am I sponsoring a professional? I need to justify where my money goes. But without this benchmark, how can I tell? There's no way telling it, right? So, of course, here's an initiative that we wish that we could do in more universities than your IPTS, IPTA. We will encourage you to have more esports club, even clubs for your own team, right? So we can actually help you by going through proper channel. How the state government is going to help you get recognized as a esports professional team? How are we going to do that? If there were no clubs, we can't just take in a bunch of individual friends and call them an esports team or club, right? We need to have a proper channel to do that. So we also have organizers grading and endorsement guideline. Over the years, I'm not sure, have you heard of some organizers it's really bad in management in terms of, are they paying the prize pool? Or are they paying the workers in all of this kind of that? Right? So we have to create this benchmark. We have to create this guideline. What type of organizers are you? Are you the top 1 organizers? Or are you a lousy organizers? So there has to be this guideline to be followed. So in the sense that we create a security for all these investors or even stakeholders, sponsors, to actually come in, actually put their money where it is, right? And of course, newcomer development programs. When we talk about this, we also understand that I have a lot of people come in here and talk to me and say, I want to go into esports, I want to become event organizers. But how do we do that? And I realize a lot of these organizers, they do not know how to do a pitch deck, right? They do not know how to do it. They do not know, even how to create a Google form to actually start registration for players. So these are things that we may need to help them to actually do it, right? But of course, we are not here to give monetary support. But what we can do is that, how are we going to teach you how to do it, right? So if we go back to the database, how many of you guys here know that how to code in Python? Oh, we have one guy here, right? I think in a very simple problem that we have today in esports is that we do not have a list of events held throughout Malaysia, right? It has been done by using manual work. But if you know how to code in Python, you can actually go to Facebook and get the API and do that automatically so that everybody knows in 1 year how much they can do it, right? And this is the thing that I've been pushing really hard, that we have to go big data for esports. If we are not doing that, boy, I can tell you, I'm going to work to death, right? So facilities. Of course, over these few months, we are going to push out our new licensing for esports facilities, right? What are the guidelines we have to follow? How bright is the facilities we need to have? Or what's the technical aspect that we need to meet this requirement so that, international teams could come and train in the comfort, right? This is a small one. And talent pool. Before we go and push our states as an esports hub to these international brands, international companies or organizations, how are we going to convince them, if they're going to come in, put the money in Perak, that we have people who can actually work for them, right? So we have to think about, that's why I said, if you know Python is a good thing, you're in the sweet spot right now, right? So what are the skills that we have? We can tell people that, we have a lot of talents, but if I can't write it down on a paper, on the basic sheets, we can't convince them to come, right? It's just like why people manufacturing go to China. Why don't they go to China? Because they have skilled workers. But Perak, I believe you have a lot of talents. But how are we going to put it in a presentation slide and tell them we have people actually working in Perak that is able to accommodate your work scope? And this is something I can't do it alone, right? As again, if UTP, if you're able to, do you have your own esports club? Soon, great. Do me a favor, get this database down, get their skill sets down, so we know what we can do with you guys, right? So it's not just about gaming. It's never about just playing games. So if you take a look, these are vacancies outside of Malaysia. What are the things they're looking for? They're not even looking for professional players, right? Yeah, Python, you again. Right? You also need to have Ruby. These kind of things you need to work with. So if we go more to, in advertising role, these are things that you're looking at, right? Even if you look at Fnatic, what are they really looking for? If I were to ask Fnatic to place the operation in Malaysia, what are we offering them? If it's just a place, then I think a lot of places can actually do that. But what about manpower? Right? Even lawyers have their jobs in esports. So this is Team Liquid. If you're in esports, you should know. What are they looking for? So what I'm saying is that you may not need to be good at game to be in esports. Okay? It depends on your skill sets. What are you going to do? But I need to know everyone's skill sets on how are we going to attract all these people to come into Perak as an esports hub. So laws and regulations, this is the tribunal stuff that I think Richard has spoken to you earlier on. We need it to be enacted to protect stakeholders, players, organizers, workforces, and everything, right? As of now, we also know esports is actually a cowboy town right now. We can do whatever we want without repercussions, without any punishment for doing the wrong thing, right? So, and as such that Richard early on also advises to set up a tribunal for esports. This is to specifically address for esports issue. Normally, it involves in organizers that doesn't pay prize pool lah. But it also can go the other way around. If the players are slandering, lies, just to get someone's, just to sabotage someone's organization, you can put it up there as well. So this is a short one, Perak Cyber Games. I don't think I need to explain that much. It's a tournament that is going to be run through 3 districts. Kinta, Manjung, and Mualim. Right? So this tournament is to enable the youth in Perak to actually represent your own state in forming your own Perak esports team. Right? So, and by the way, if you are really keen in esports and really want to know how I got go into it, please contact me. Just don't call, just WhatsApp me. But I have one key rule. Don't ask me for money. All right? I can teach you how I got to do certain things, but don't ask me for money. Even I also don't have enough money, right? Or you can drop me an email. So, but forgive me if I take some time to reply. Sometimes I might be in a meeting or something. So just be patient with me, right? That's about my presentation. Do you have any questions that you want to ask me?
Hi, I'm Chingman. I'm the Sports and Recreation Exco from SRC UTP. And for information, in the coming semester, we are trying to have an esports club in UTP, and we are trying to find people to form the club right now. So I want to ask that, is there any possibility that Perak could help UTP to form a team and help us in any way?
I couldn't give you a straight answer right now, but give me the details, give me whatever paper you will have, send it to me, and I'll seek for support for you, right? Other than that, what other supports that you may need from esports, put everything down. Yeah, so you just have to create a point form for me, what do you need? Okay. So I can help you from there, right? Including, I cannot promise you this, but I might be able to put in some sponsors for that as well, right?
Thank you.
Hi Ben, I'm Husni, alumni of UMP. Okay, basically my question is related within the previous session. This is regarding the talent or professional talent. If you can see nowadays in Malaysia, we don't really have what can we say, academics field for e-sport industry. So, are you saying that our professional talent in Malaysia are just based on experience rather than academic qualifications? Or what's your verdict?
I have a different take on that. Sometimes I value experience more than academics, but I'm not saying that you shouldn't get your academics done just to get this kind of job. It's just that some of the things that we do in the esports has already existed in the normal industry. It's just that we may not have the domain knowledge in esports, right? So it doesn't really make much difference whether you have academics or not. But it would be great that if I'm able to push in that, you know, we have esports talent management courses available or accreditation that matter, right? So if we're able to do that, great. But if we are not, if you break it down to team management, what are we really doing? We are doing HR. If you are good in HR, well, you could try a shot, become a team manager. It's not that much different, except that you're dealing with, you know, really young people in the 18s, 20. So that might be some difficulty there, as we may not speak the same language. Right. Yeah, sure.
Hello, I'm Zarif, Exco Leadership and Development from SRC. So I have one question. Can I know when is the Perak State Government going to open esports hub in Perak?
When, I can't really answer you when, but it is in our planning to actually open our esports hub. It depends how big it is. If you are talking about esports arena, then we might take some time. But as a hub today, I think we can do it in a shop lot as a small one to start with. But for the bigger plans, it might take some time. Even by the end of this year or by the next year, we should be able to achieve that. But it's all in planning, so do let us have some time to actually get it, you know, the hub actually being built in Perak. Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm from UITM SI, and I'm architecture student. So I have two questions to ask. So the first one is, our project for this semester is a clubhouse for esport. So we have to choose our client. For my client, I choose Riot Games, who developed the games LOL, League of Legends. So when I do my research, Riot Games actually they implement the Korean style and those Korean culture in their company and the games, of course. That's why they always have their character of the games always have a Korean background, like legendary story, like fairy tales, like that. And then as we architects, we always try to use sustainable design. For Malaysia, we have to implement our Malay culture. So what if what happened if there's any cultural issue if we try to extract those Korean culture in like Perak, like that, in esport club in Perak?
I believe you're talking about in-game content, right?
Yes.
Or
Like cultural issues like that. Maybe we try to extract those Korean culture in Perak, like.
I think the only thing we have to be careful of when it comes to culture is that we are living in Malaysia, right? So we have majority Muslim here, so we might need to be a bit more sensitive on that side. But I think overall, if the culture can fit among, you know, our Asian culture, I don't think there's any issue. Even as to the extent that I've witnessed a few arguments before in Mobile Legends about which hero are they going to put in, right? Even down to the design of Badang in Mobile Legends, they have arguments over that. So, but the thing is that it depends on how the developers want to play around with this, right? Certain culture might fit us, certain culture might not fit us. What I can say is that we try to be a bit more flexible. We can take some, we can take away some, right? So that's my suggestion for you know, in terms of culture, if you're taking it into Perak.
My last question is, what is your expectation on e-sport club if we make it in Perak?
My expectation of esports club,
E-sport clubhouse.
clubhouse means you will have your own place with esports, right? I wouldn't, I do not have high expectations of being a clubhouse. It really depends on your budget, depends on the money that you have. You want to build it, but overall, my expectation of a healthy esports clubhouse, right? It should always be, it's not dim lighted. It should always be bright, and of course, every once in a month, there should be activities, there should be events all the time, because what the essence of esports is that you go into competitiveness, right? If you build an esports clubhouse that without any events, right, it would turn into just another cyber cafe. It wouldn't, encourage us to go to esports. So if you have a clubhouse, do more events, do more competitions, because downright to the basic of it, right, we love competitions. We love it when our name is up there as a champion, right? So you have to, based on that kind of belief, create more event so that people will come actually fight for the sport. Or if not, then, well, people can actually choose to play in home, or they can choose to play in your clubhouse. So you need to work more on events aside.
Thank you.
And possible, you have a scoring system for that.
Benny, I actually have a question for you. For
Yeah.
example, if the students are establishing their own esports club, they want to look for a sponsorship, right? So if you can relate, most of the peripheral stuff related to esports are quite expensive, right? So in terms of ROI, return of investment that the sponsors expect from the students, so how can you guys convince the sponsorship, the sponsors to give the sponsor, and the ROI is still at par with the students' expectations? Because you don't expect every student to buy those expensive stuff and whatnot. So maybe you have your opinion on this?
It's very subjective though. It's very subjective. It depends on what sponsors want. I know a few bands that will support universities, that will support, college in doing the esports clubhouse, without much expectation of ROI. Some might be a bit more nitpicky on the ROI. If I've sponsored this, I might want to get this and that back. So it really depends who you're speaking to. It really depends who you're speaking to. But each and every sponsors that I approach, I always ask this question: what do you want? Right? If we do not know what they want and we throwing wild ideas to them, it's gonna be a sure fail. So have to understand, what do they want to achieve by sponsoring you? That is the main important questions.
Right, maybe they wanted to ask questions such as like, if they do any events at the university level for esports, on behalf of Perak government, do you guys allocate any budget, like, to be contributed to the whole organizing event and stuff and whatnot?
I can't promise any budget. We are also looking at other agencies. I'm not gonna name drop. I'm not gonna name drop. But at the current moment, yes, we announced a $1 million budget for esports in Perak State. But for events, for tournaments, right, we try our best to actually get sponsors in to actually help them out, rather than using our budget to actually do it. Because we believe in one thing, that events and tournaments, right, even before we step in, they have been doing really great by themselves, by private, right? And we believe that on our side, we should provide more regulations, we should provide more infrastructure, and to facilitate all these processes much more easier for event organizers. But if there's help needed in getting sponsors, please do look for me. I can always make a few calls, but you have to do the job.
Can we have a last question from the floor? Any more questions from the public? Do you guys have any questions? No. Yes, no, yes, no. No. All right, okay, thank you, Benny, for such an awesome presentation. Yeah, soon to be YB, Benny.
No.
All right, thank you, Benny, on sharing the plans, that will be executed by Perak's government on how to grow esports in this state It could be one of the longest state because you know the journey from Tanjung Malim. What's the last district in Perak? Taiping. Before Kedah is Taiping, right? Okay, Mualim. Okay, Mualim, maybe Mualim. So you know, they've been doing very great in the esports industry, and you know, you can always ask assistance from other partners such as MDAC, right? MDAC. They'll be more than happy to help the students here in assisting them on esports. Alright, so anyway, don't forget on our online giveaway by XPAXKEK, where just like the Facebook page, and then the questions for this evening adalah, berapakah jumlah hadiah yang boleh dimenangi menerusi kempen XPAXKEK Spin the Wheel? A, 1 juta, B, 1,000. So the answer is A or B? Tak dengar lah. A ke B? One more time. A ke B? Alright, so actually the students kat sini dah bagi, the audience dah bagi the answer. So yang kat rumah tu, apa lagi korang tunggu? Like Facebook page XPAXKEK, share the live stream and answer this very simple question in the comment section. If you think the answer is A, and write A. If you think the answer is B, write B, and you will stand a chance to win 50 ringgit reload voucher by XPAXKEK. Baiklah, itu tadi perkongsian bersama dengan Benny, our Perak Esports Councillor, on the esports plan of from the Perak government. Later, I think in less than 15 minutes, correct? We're going to have our last speaker of the day from MDAC, our old friend Buzz, that will be talking about career in esports specifically. So this guy knows more about how to channel your inner strength. Let's say you're good in programming, you can venture into this part of esports. If you're good at other things, you can venture into other part of esports. So anyway, again, I would like to welcome all the audience, all the students to the biggest campus esports tournament in Malaysia, XPAXKEK, Kejohanan e-sukan Campus 2019 Semester 1. Again, I would like to say thank you, to thank our sponsor, XPAXKEK, our co-organizer, UTP, also Kitaman, as well as our other sponsors such as Predator, Todak, Saders, Boost, Cadbury 5-Star, Mountain Dew, dan juga Kitaman as a co-organizer. And also My Game On, our gaming portal. In less than 15 minutes, we're going to have our next session and our last talk of the day. But do we have a giveaway after this? No. No. End of the last session, right? So we're going to have another round of giveaway during our last session. So stay tuned and kita akan kembali lagi selepas ini.